Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. It's Street Fighter 6 time yet again. We got a lot to talk about with Street Fighter 6. It's kind of a big deal, right? And with today's video, we're specifically talking about offense in Street Fighter 6 and how, in a lot of ways, it's fundamentally changed from, say, more modern entries of the series like Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. And obviously, I'm not trying to mention like the drive system or whatever. Like, that's a big deal. That's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about hitting basic buttons. I'm talking like hit light punch, medium kick, that kind of stuff. Because the frame data, for the most part, in Street Fighter 6 is actually negative across the board for basic pokes, basic buttons. In fact, from the beta at least, later characters to be released, who knows, but the beta characters at least, the cast has 1 or 2 per character moves that are plus. That's it. And that's kind of wild. Compared to how other games in the series go, usually like lights across the board are wildly plus, mediums are somewhat plus, heavies usually sort of negative, right? And for this game, pretty much everyone has the one button that's plus on block and just barely plus on block, and maybe one special that's plus on block, and that's about it, and everything else is negative. So that said, and that in mind, I actually have some examples for you from Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, and Street Fighter 6. So here, Street Fighter 6, obviously enough, and Chun-Li's normal. Stand light punch, negative on block. Her crouching light punch, negative on block. Stand medium punch is plus 1. That is her only plus normal. Crouch medium punch, negative on block. This is the palm, back heavy punch, it's command normal, and it's negative on block here. You can see, negative 1. And for the interest of time here, I'm not going to run through the rest of the cast, but it's the same for the rest of the cast. Everyone has like a normal that's plus, and maybe a special that's plus, but for the most part, that's about it. Everything is pretty negative. Not punishable, but negative. Now, going back a game, Street Fighter 5, Chun-Li again. So, stand light punch, let's start with this. This is plus on block, plus 2. Crouch light punch, also plus on block. Stand medium punch, which is plus in Street Fighter 6, also plus here, just more plus. And the palm, which is negative in Street Fighter 6, is plus 2 here. So, as you can tell, things are different. And yeah, of course, there is still negative normals, like those exist, that's fine. But as you can see here, a lot of the core basic buttons are plus in Street Fighter 5, where they are not in Street Fighter 6. Let's rewind again to Street Fighter 4. So, stand light punch, that's plus 3 on block. Crouch light punch, that's also plus 3 on block. Stand medium punch is plus 2 on block. Crouch medium punch is negative 3 on block. And the heavies are negative, and so on and so forth. But the lesson learned here across the other games is lights and some mediums are plus on block. And this holds true for the majority of the cast of Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. So there's a wild shift in Street Fighter 6 where barely anyone has anything plus. So what exactly does this all mean? Is this a bad thing? Is this, Street Fighter 6 is ruined because the frame data is not as plus as it was in the other games? Not necessarily. It's certainly a change of the formula for sure, when even basic lights are negative on block, right? But I think there's a method to the madness and a reason for the change. You may have noticed, if you've watched any amount of footage or were lucky enough to play during the beta, that there's just a lot of scrambling, right? Because, frankly, we're all pretty bad at the game right now. We got a lot to learn. But say for me, due to how the system works, I've already seen more like trades, like 2 hits hitting each other at the same time in my 3 days in the beta than like almost all of Street Fighter 5 period, because there's no priority system in place like there is in Street Fighter 5. If a move were to hit on the same frame in Street Fighter 5, the heavier version always wins. So heavies always beat mediums, mediums always beat lights. And in Street Fighter 5, considering most moves up close are plus on block, right? That means you are almost never allowed to hit buttons ever. Like, if you block a medium, even if you hit a light, that should be fast enough to trade with the enemy. They just hit their next medium, you're going to get bopped, and you're going to get counter hit, and you're going to die. And that's how it is. And I think that's part of the core design philosophy in this game, is they're trying to avoid exactly that. That pressure is no longer the guarantee that it was in Street Fighter 5. That if you block something, your only real option was invincible move next, or V-reverse, or just sit and block and wait, right? That was it. In this game, you are allowed to challenge because, once again, everything's negative. If you block a crouch light punch, then you can do your crouch light punch. And if they try to match theirs next, depending on the numbers, usually it's going to be like -1 or something. That means they'll probably lose. So you're incentivized to stop people from just attacking you wildly, basically, because everything, once again, is negative. There is seemingly, anyways, for the most part, no real lockdown situations like there is in Street Fighter 5. Once you block whatever you blocked, it's your turn. That's it. And we go from there. So if whatever you attempted as the person on offense did not work, then it's kind of back to neutral. It's back to the other player's turn versus in a lot of cases Street Fighter V, it's your turn, then it's your turn, then it's your turn, then it's your turn until, someone makes a wild guess. One of the biggest criticisms of Street Fighter V, especially earlier on in the game's lifespan, was it was much more focused on offense. Street Fighter usually is a good balance of offense and defense, and Street Fighter V in the early years especially was wildly catered towards offense. Later years, add V-shift, all that kind of stuff, defense got a little bit better, but still. And I think that complaint got taken to heart because now, well, offense just isn't as strong. At least in the confines of the usual system. You can use your drive meter to do drive impacts. That's pretty strong offense, right? Or you can do drive rush. And as we went over in a previous video, which I'll link at the end of this video, drive rush makes everything plus, right? Even if your move is nominally negative on block, you can now be plus on block because drive rush makes everything at least 4 frames more advantage than it normally is. So it would perhaps seem that the idea anyways, if you do your basic thing and it gets blocked, your turn's over, done. The only way to enforce it is still your turn is to commit a little bit of resource, like a little bit of meter, your drive rush, what have you. You do that and then you're golden. So certainly a shift away from how things are, but I think it's all in benefit of the fact that basically there's more opportunities for neutral interaction versus one person has the other person on lockdown. Because that's great if you're the offensive player, but it's never great if you're the defensive player, right? So in the early days, this is going to lead to us just mashing at each other, I think, because in a lot of ways it works, right? If you keep trying to attack after your initial attack was blocked, you will get beat out. We got to learn to accept that after a move is blocked, it's just not our turn anymore, right? And especially in the early days of the game, I would suggest learning your counter hit combos for sure. Learn whatever your fastest button is, and then learn whatever combos into it on a counter hit. Because I think especially in the early days, you're going to get a lot of counter hit combos because people are just going to be swinging for the fences on their buttons. So those are some of my thoughts on the matter. Once again, this is a fairly decent sized shift from the last 10 plus years of Street Fighter. Now, even if, say, Street Fighter 4 didn't have as many oppressive plus normals as Street Fighter 5 did, at the very least, a lot of the lights and all that were plus, and here they're just like negative across the board for every character, and that's a pretty big shift. Let me know what you think about that. I would like to hear your opinion on the matter. And for now, well, that's the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.
Just